A very good evening. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Bolma Thange, and this is GBS News 9 coming to you live from Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Stay tuned as we bring you the latest updates on the state of the nation, where members of civil societies, community leaders, and members of the public today took to the streets to demonstrate outside Parliament building over the Finance Bill 2024, among other issues. All this and more coming up, but first, let's begin with the stories making headlines. A one-man, one-vote, one-shilling revenue allocation model championed by the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has received backing from senior politicians from across, and the latest being the former Premier Raila Odinga. The Deputy President, who is championing this revenue allocation, is also facing opposition from his local backyard after a section of politicians disagreed with his agenda of urging leaders to focus on their areas of leadership, as Davis Karani now reports.
The Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's one-man, one-vote, one-shilling revenue-sharing model is gaining momentum as several top leaders in the country tend to champion and support it fully, and the latest being Raila Odinga after Kalonzo Musyoka agreed to back it up fully a few weeks ago.
President Gachagua is a member of the government, and as you know, yesterday the government pledged that they are going to support my bid for AU, and I said, Hewala. I thanked them. So he is seen the light. His soul was now become a pawn.
The support for the bill tends to unite the opposition and the DP, who is in a disconnect situation with his boss, President William Ruto, due to his stance on what the head of state terms as divisive and local politics, as his huntsman, the majority leader Kimani Ichung'wah, states.
As you are told by the President on Madaraka Day, you are bestowed with a very dignified position as members of the National Assembly of Kenya. National Assembly, that's why you're called MNAs, members of the National Assembly. Not members of some village assemblies, not members of your county assemblies. You are members of the national assemblies to espouse that what is of national good and the greater public good in the nation of Kenya.
As we focus on one man, one vote, one shilling revenue allocation that most leaders tend to support, the chief championeer of the bill is facing opposition from his backyard due to his stand on discouraging leaders who hop from one county to another, as some say this will bring animosity and division in the country.
Ignore a few noises here and there. And I ask the leaders from this region, please, all politics is local. All politics is local. Listen to the ground.
The revenue allocation model is creating a new conversation and a new political atmosphere, especially in Mount Kenya. But will it be a base of unity between Gachagua and his regional leaders who are against his principles on leadership? This is what we are working on to bring out a clear report. Davis Karani, GBS News, Nairobi.
The Okoa Uchumi Campaign, a lobby group of 31 members, including the Kenya Human Rights Commission and Amnesty International Kenya, has today called on members of parliament all over the country to vote against what they term as the oppressive Finance Bill 2024. While addressing the media in Nairobi, the civil organization said the burden on Kenyans is set to further worsen if the Finance Bill 2024 is passed into law, since the budget is proposed to be financed by increased taxes to Kenyan taxpayers without commensurate investment as APT service delivery. Here are the details.
Whether we are ready for Okoa Uchumi.
The Okoa Uchumi Campaign, a coalition of 31 civil society organizations, has made a fervent appeal to members of parliament to vote against the Finance Bill of 2024. The group argues that the proposed legislation will significantly increase the tax burden on Kenyans without corresponding improvements in public services. Addressing the press today in Nairobi, the representatives from the coalition expressed their deep concerns about the financial strain the bill would impose on common mwananchi.
The current trajectory of rising taxes poses a dire threat to citizens' access to vital services essential for the full realization of their fundamental rights and freedoms. As staunch advocates for human rights and the interest of marginalized members of society, we express profound concern over the escalating cost of living, compounded by punitive, unattainable, and predictable tax policies.
Based on this, Okoa Uchumi will continue amplifying their proposal as submitted to Parliament by the people. Additionally, the campaign will mobilize all Kenyan citizens to inform their members of Parliament on their stand on the Finance Bill 2024.
The coalition underscored the need for the government to explore alternative revenue generation methods that do not disproportionately affect low and middle income earners. They proposed enhancing efficiency in public expenditure and cracking down on corruption as more suitable strategies to address the nation's fiscal challenges.
Despite the government's elaborate plans to increase the tax burden, they have not reciprocated the same energy towards the fight against revenue leakages through corruption, wastage, illicit trade, and money laundering.
As the parliamentary debate on Finance Bill 2024 looms, the Okoa Uchumi campaign is ramping up its advocacy efforts, including mobilizing public opinion and engaging with policymakers to push for amendments that align with the interests of the Kenyan populace. Hilary Kabila, GBS News.
Members of civil society, community leaders and members of the public on Thursday took to the streets to demonstrate outside Parliament buildings, Nairobi, over the Finance Bill 2024, the rising cost of living and the state-led demolitions, among other issues. Here is more on the same. Members of civil societies, community leaders and members of the public on Thursday took to the streets to demonstrate outside Parliament building in Nairobi, not just to protest the Finance Bill 2024, but also to express their anguish over the escalating cost of living and the distressing state-led demolitions, among other pressing issues.
Sioni haja yao ya wakuwe kwa hiyo ofisi. And still I want to remind them, they won't be there forever. They're just there for 2 more years. So 2027 tunafungua macho yote mbili. Na kabla tufike hapo, ndio maana tumesema kwanza saa hizi serikali tupatie chakula kabla tuangalie hiyo malilio ingine.
They were singing and holding placards with some written, "Poverty is man-made and poverty is a political weapon," among other statements. The team also called out the government for being what they termed as inconsiderate with the affairs of the common mwananchi.
Imekuwa ngumu sana when all these taxes are added, zinakuwa carried forward kwa mwananchi. So holistically cost of life inapanda kwa sababu utapata sehemu moja ya maisha ikipanda, sehemu moja ya tax ikiongezwa, then the ripple effect is felt all over the community na ni masses wanashield hiyo pain kwa sababu sisi ndo tunatumia hizi commodities, sisi ndo tunapanda matatu, kwa hivyo ikipanda sisi ndo tunadhulumiwa.
The demonstrators delivered a petition against the Finance Bill 2024 that was received by a section of legislators led by Embakasi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino.
Comrades, viva! Viva! Down, down, down with Finance Bill, down, down. Down, down, down with Finance Bill, down, down. Down. Asanteni sana. Siku ya leo tuko hapa kwa sababu ya wananchi ya Kenya. Wananchi wamechoka. Saizi Rais Ruto ametoka Kenya akaenda Korea. Hajakaa tu, hata hajakaa kidogo hapa nchini. Juzi alikuwa Amerika. Huyu si rais wa Kenya, huyu ni tourist. Tutahakikisha hii petition ambayo mmenipatia iko hapa kwa mfuko. Niingie nayo hapa. Nipeleke kwa clerk sahihi. Na hiyo petition iwe discussed kwa floor of the house. Finance bill za zile inafanywa hapa ndani, mimi nataka Wakenya wakuje hapa.
A new report by Infotrack released on Thursday has revealed that 46% of Kenyans are unaware of the Finance Bill 2024. According to the report, 54% are, however, conversant with the Finance Bill 2024. The report further states that the majority of respondents in the Central Region are 62% are aware of the bill, unlike Eastern Region, where 41% are aware of the bill. The report further revealed that 87% of Kenyans are opposed to the introduction of 16% VAT on bread, while 86% are opposed to the introduction of VAT services on financial transactions, such as M-Pesa. The members of the public threatened to continue with the protest if the government failed to heed into their demand and passes the Finance Bill 2024. Moving on, Lamu County has today enacted stringent regulations on the sale of mugoka, a popular stimulant, marking a significant shift in the region's approach to its distribution. The new rules prohibit street sales and mandate that mugoka be sold exclusively in shops, with additional restrictions barring sales to individuals under 18 and prohibiting shop locations near schools or places of worship. This move aligns with Lamu, Mombasa, Kilifi, and Taita Taveta, making it the fourth county to implement such a ban in the past month. Susan Nganga with the full report.
Car traders are yet faced with another bad news as Lamu County implements stringent regulations on the sale of mugoka, prohibiting street sales of the stimulant. Vendors are now required to sell mugoka exclusively in shops, barred from selling to individuals under the age of 18, and must not set up shops near schools or places of worship.
From today, we shall not allow the sale of mugoka on the streets of our towns. So we are banning street sales of mugoka. Number two, we shall not allow the sale of mugoka in any anmira in any places near places of worship and our schools. And thirdly, we shall not allow the sale of mugoka and mira to persons who are under the age of 18 years.
Lamu joins Mombasa, Kilifi, and Taita Taveta as the fourth county to enforce such a ban. The reaction among residents has been mixed.
Ningependelea angechukua msimamo kama ule wa gavana wa Mombasa na Taita Taveta na Kilifi. Apige marufuku kabisa mugoka kwa sababu mugoka uko na athari kubwa sana. Wengi watu hawalali, wanakuwa paka wenda wazimu, wengine pia nyumbani pia kazi zingine pia zinakuwa ni shida kwa mabibi zao. Kwa hivyo mimi naomba gavana angepiga marufuku kabisa hiyo mugoka isiingie kabisa.
Lakini kwa maoni yangu angefunga kabisa isikuje hapa Lamu. Ndio mambo ya ulevi ipungue. Mugoka ni bei rahisi. Sasa unaona watoto wakupatiwa hata pesa kidogo, anaenda kununua badala kununua soda, anaenda kununua mugoka, anakata kona.
However, mugoka traders have voiced concerns over the new regulations.
Sisi nikuuza mugoka njeti na kuna madhara yake tuko nao. Mheshimiwa wetu alivunja vibanda vyetu, lakini asema tusiusie nje. Tuomba sisi wenye kuuza mugoka njenge vya kukondisha. Watoto wasitumwe kununua mugoka, na wengine utuma watoto sigara, wengine utuma pepa.
This comes as the governors of the 6 coastal counties declined to meet with the Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi to discuss the mugoka ban, a meeting which was scheduled for today. President William Ruto had ordered Linturi to convene a meeting with stakeholders and address concerns raised on the sale and use of the addictive stimulant. The joint release, dispatched Monday evening, was signed by all 6 governors. That is the Mombasa's Abdul Samad Nasir, Kilifi's Gideon Mungaro, Fatuma Achani Fokwale, Dadogo Dana Tana River, Isa Timami Lamu, and Taita Taveta's Andrew Mwadime. The governors accused the Ministry of Agriculture of prioritizing the interest of mugoka producing counties. They called on President Ruto to lead future consultations and stressed the need to include stakeholders such as NACADA, the Ministry of Health, security agencies and civil society. The governors argued that the conflict is made to appear between coastal counties and the rest of the country. Susan Nganga, GBS News.
Many thanks for joining this live broadcast. We have a lot lined up for you in our news segment tonight. But first, let us take a quick break. We'll be right back with even more.
So through the 4 gospel books, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, John, we can know the heart of Jesus in depth.
그리고 우리가 느끼는 그 예수님을 성경을 통해 느낄 수 있어서 너무 감사합니다.
And the Jesus that we can feel him through the scriptures, and I'm very thankful about that. Jesus Christ came to this earth for our sins.
지셨고,
he carried our sins.
십자가에 못 박혀 죽어 죄의 형벌을 당하셨고,
and he was crucified and he received the punishment for sins.
무덤에 들어가셨다가,
and he was put into the tomb.
사흘 만에 부활하셨습니다.
and resurrected in 3 days.
이것이 우리가 말하는 복음입니다.
This is the gospel that we speak.
예수님께 우리 죄를 위해 죽으신 이야기.
About how Jesus died for our sins. The purpose of Jesus being crucified.
우리 죄를 담당하기 위하여 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으셨습니다.
He was crucified to pay for our sins.
예수 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으심으로 우리 죄가 분명히 씻어졌는데.
And through Jesus being crucified, clearly our sins have been washed clean.
참 안타깝게도 많은 사람은 여전히 죄인이라고 말합니다.
However, unfortunately, many people still say that they are sinners.
And remember, the topic of the day is embracing one's role as a single man.
Ile ingine ni kutengwa na watu. Watu wengi ukiona single mother akiongea na bwana wako, mind zao zinakuanga tu bwana kuimbia.
Kuna any organization inaweza kuwa at least hata ile msupport ama ni wewe tumengangana kivyako akaingia hivyo.
Pesa creams wenye wanatumianga. But before unjuane na hao wamama haki na kuanga ngumu. Unapatanga huyo mtoto already amechange hiyo kara, juu hafai kukaa kwa njua.
Kuna hiyo organization inakuanga na plans za kuongelesha watoto.
Kama wazazi
in the future wanaji accept. By the time wana realize they are not different. They are different.
I think akili yangu ilikuja kuona kabisa niko peke yangu. Ni penye saa unapigia handi au mambeste ya kuna mtu anakuchukulia simu. Na mimi nilikuanga na mambeste wengi. Mimi niliachiwa tu mmoja. Anaitwa Shkosheila. Akiona hii video, thank you so much mama.
Thank you Shiko. Akukosangi enjoy.
Alisimama na mimi.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back. You're still watching GBS News 9. Coffee farmers from Mutito Society, Mutira Kirinyaga Central, Kirinyaga County, have taken the better part of the day on the streets of Mutito Market, citing their disappointments with the low coffee rate of 78.1 from their society, which was realized today when the highest in the seed society got 90. Rose Nyawera Karani, a coffee farmer from Mutito Society, has said that the 79 rate pay is too low compared to what they were expecting. She has called the management to come out and explain to farmers what led to low pay. Geoffrey Warui Washira, another coffee farmer, has expressed his disappointment, saying this year he was expecting the society to not have major projects they were doing, unlike last year when they got a rate of 73. His sentiments were echoed by Ndege Murushu, who cited frustrations as farmers. They are not in a position to pay the bank loans and their hope was in coffee. He added that the deputy president had promised them a guarantee of minimum returns, but what they have received is peanuts.
Juu Gasagwa alituambia rate iko sawa. Makatero wameondoka. Sasa tulikuwa tunatarajia 120 kutoka juu. Sasa ni kuonyesha ujue ile factory iko chini sasa iko na 52 ndani yetu. 52. Ukilinganisha 52 55 hata mtu hawezi kununua petrol.
Ndio. Kurima Mutira Society, narima kahawa. Na sasa siku ya leo tumekasirika sana juu ya ile reti tumetolewa na ile ofisi yetu ya Mutira, tumetolewa shilingi 78. Whereas hizo society zingine zimetoa na bei mzuri kutoka 100 kuenda juu.
Kama hivyo ama ni serikali nyingine. Serikali ya kaunti ya Kirinyaga ilikuwa kwa hapa. Ikatuahidi kwamba pesa ya kahawa kuisatolewa na serikali na sisi hatujaiona hata kidogo. Kwa hivyo tunasema kutokea leo hatutakuwa tunauza kahawa tena. Tutaiongoa tubadilishe hiyo biashara, tufanye biashara nyingine ambayo itakuwa ya manufaa kwetu.
Gachagua walianza kumpigia kelele, wakamurukia. Gachagua akaanza kusema kuna watu wanamfukuza kwa ofisi. Kuna watu wanamuonea, wanataka kiti yake ya deputy. Hao watu waliokuwa wanapiga Gachagua ndio wanaungana na wanakomiti wetu, wanakula pesa yetu. Tunataka Gachagua wetu aachiliwe na aziguzwe na mtu, maana tutasimama naye mpaka dakika ya mwisho ili atupe pesa.
The death toll of people believed to be followers of cult leader Paul Mackenzie has hit 436 after 7 more bodies were exhumed on Monday during the 5th phase of an ongoing recovery exercise. Chief Government Pathologist Dr. Johansen Odur confirmed the new findings, saying that the bodies were discovered in 4 graves, 1 mass grave containing 4 bodies and 3 individual graves. Activists want exhumation stopped and the DNA results of previous bodies released fast. Odur said approximately 50 other graves have been identified in the forest. The graves were identified easily because of the loose soil. The deceased are believed to be followers of cult leader Paul Mackenzie, who currently faces multiple charges including terrorism, murder and manslaughter in Mombasa and Malindi courts. Mackenzie, his wife and 93 other suspects are being held at Shimo La Tewa prison in Mombasa in connection with the death of the people who died in Shakahola due to self-inflicted starvation.
Na bado tunaona process ya exhumation ishaanza tena ikiwa ni phase 5 pale Shakahola. Na sisi ghadhabu kubwa ambayo tuko nayo ni kwamba baada ya mwaka mmoja ndani ya exercise hii ambayo ilikuwa vigorously pale ikifanyika, DNA results zenye zimetoka bado ni kidogo sana. Familia bado zinang'ang'ana zikipiga masimu zikitaka kujua ni lini wanakuja kuchukua wapendwa wao ambao wako kwa hii mochari ya Malindi. Lakini serikali imefail kuproduce hizo results zenye zilichukuliwa wakati ule. Sasa wana complain pia serikali wakisema kuwa these families are not coming out kukuja kutoa samples za DNA. Na sisi tunaambia serikali sio lazima wasafiri kutoka kila mahali wakuje Malindi. We have so many hospitals that hizi DNA results ama samples zinaweza kuchukuliwa na waendelee kufanya hizo sampling ili hizi bodies zikiwa identified. Mili zaidi ya 429 zilizokuwa hapa sasa tumeziongezea tena zingine. Ile exercise kule tunaomba isimamishwe, tufanye DNA results. Watu wapate mili yao, wazike, waanze process ya kuhili. Kwa sababu tunajua watu wengi wako na vidonda, wako na uchungu mwingi sana kuhusu mambo ya Shakahola. Kwa hivyo ni wakati imefika serikali tutoe results za DNA, tupiane mili na tusupport families waende kuzika hizi mili.
Hata kama ni phase 5 ingesitishwa kwa sasa, tufanye ile DNA imalizike, mili ipeanwe kwa familia, tutakuwa tumepata nafasi katika mochari hii na tuweze tena kuleta mili mingine. Lakini tunafanya process ya kuongeza mili na the level of preparedness ya wale ambao wanafanya process hii naona imechukua muda sana. Kwa hivyo this might be another 1 more year for the mochari ya Malindi. So we don't want that to happen again. We are calling upon the government prioritize, ombeni support kutoka nje, nchi za US, nchi za South Africa wawasaidie ili muweze kufanya DNA, mili iweze kupeanwa kwa familia. Wale waliofanywa DNA sampling walichukuliwa ni karibu watu 600, lakini wale ambao wameweza kupewa mili yao ni kama watu, familia 8. Na katika wale 36 ambao walikuwa DNA zilikuwa positively identified na familia zao, only 8 have been able to be given their bodies. So we are calling upon the government, ikiwa wanataka support waombe support nje, South Africa, nchi zingine, US, waje wawasaidie ili tuweze kusuluhisha masuala ya DNA, tupunguze mili ambayo iko hapa, tupeane kwa familia zao, alafu ndo tuende tufanye hiyo fifth phase iendelee, because the more we continue, the more we will be exhausting hospitali hii.
As the world celebrates World Environmental Day, Rotary Club Kutus branch representatives had organized a special tree planting event focusing on avocado trees to mark the occasion. Rotarian Samuel Mwangi, interim president of the Kutus branch, led the tree planting occasion, which took place at Kiamashiri Primary School. Samuel Mwangi said they are not only planting trees, but also planting trees with economic benefits, saying once these trees reach maturity, they will provide income to the school and the community at large. He called on other non-governmental organizations to come up with more such projects, saying that through this, Kenya will attain President William Ruto's target of planting 15 billion trees in 10 years. He also called on the government to revive the 4K club, saying it had a lot of benefits to learners modeling them. Jackson Jugi, a director of the project in the Rotary Club, said this is the first project that aims to plant more trees so as to help with climate change. Moving on, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has called for impactful collaborations among government agencies tasked with coordination and implementation of key government programs and projects. Mudavadi said a lot of resources earmarked from donors, developed partners and taxpayers are misused and mismanaged. He regretted that the imprudent use of critical resources due to lack of synthesized and coordinated approach in their utilization, saying it has negatively impacted on implementation of prioritized government development agenda. The Prime Cabinet Secretary committed to ensure that the National Government Coordination Secretariat, domiciled within the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, becomes the fulcrum of unlocking bottlenecks that constrain the delivery of government services. The representatives in the meetings were drawn from G7 member states, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America, the European Union, the Japan International Cooperation Agency, UN Habitat, African Development, and key entities from government of Kenya, among them State Department for Transport, NGCS, and the Nairobi City County Government, among others.
Good morning, Grace Mwangi.
Intervention I'll make at this point on Railway City. Railway City is such a key flagship for us, and we had made a request as Nairobi County that just in the same way the relocation of Wakulima market is part of the project, the relocation of the bus, the terminus should also be part of the project. Because if you look at the hub of the NMT, and we're talking about intermodal, transport, some people will still have to end up in the matatus. We have looked for where to integrate them within the central business district, and there is completely no space. The only space we can get is where we have Easy Coach right now, right next to the Railway City. If we can incorporate that as part of the project, I think the project will really move faster. And High Commissioner Neil, I hope that we can think about that. We've explored all options. The Green Park has not worked, and in fact, we have proposed change of use of what would be the Green Park terminal. It has not worked. All the pilots that have been done have failed to take off. I know Kenha is currently doing some tunneling around that area, but we need to reconsider. So I hope we can have that conversation, because the Green Park will be a hub for all of these modes of transport, the BRT lines, the commuter rail, etc.
We see this program as genuinely transformational. And in that spirit, we're therefore delighted that we think this project is now should be eligible for the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment under the G7+ initiative. And for those less familiar, this is a program that was launched at the 48th G7 Summit in Germany in 2022. And so the potential is absolutely enormous. And this program is a flagship program under that initiative, and we expect it to be celebrated that way at the G7 summit next week. So this is a nationally important, but even an internationally important program. And we hope that that will help secure the access to international funding and expertise which can drive this project forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of the meeting is to discuss and coordinate our efforts for the successful implementation of the G7 Plus Secretariat within the NGCS using prioritized projects of the transport sector as the pilot. This is informed by the Partnership by Global Infrastructure and Investment, the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment, PGII, launched by the G7 members, that is Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States, during their 48th summit in June 2022, as earlier indicated. The G7 members pledged to mobilize $600 billion to support transformative infrastructure projects in developing nations. Kenya would wish to proactively draw on this support and demonstrate how a nation can leverage its internal coordination mechanisms to make the most efficient and effective use of development partner funding. This will set a solid foundation to build a case for even more support.
Do keep your comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. Our report brings us to our international news, but first let us take a quick commercial break.
Today on the show, we are talking about nurturing their emotional intelligence in children.
The parents of this generation, they are very busy. Yeah. Whereby we have left the gadgets to be in charge and the house managers.
Especially when you're thinking about yourself, there are three levels of thoughts. There is the first level, there is the second level of thought, and there is also the third level of thought.
What is nurturing a child in the emotional intelligence way?
A lot of focus has been put on the intelligence.
And when we talk about desire and self-control, desire is something that is in our hearts. But self-control does not come from within us.
And at what age are we supposed now to start molding our children and correcting whenever they're doing wrong?
Welcome to Fun Story Class. Friend, today I'm going to read the story of the ant and the grasshopper. Friend, this is a very interesting story, so listen carefully. The ant and grasshopper were good friends. The grasshopper was enjoying the fine weather, playing all day. He asked the ant for food, and ant gave him some. But my food is just enough for my family to last until the end of winter. If I give you more, we too will starve.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the broadcast, and now to matters international news. If you do not go to libraries, they will come to you. This is the concept behind the Kitabas, a mobile library designed to promote reading to a wide audience. Named from the Swahili word kitabu, meaning book, and bus for the means of transport, this book mobile is an initiative by the French Institute of Bukavu in the Eastern DRC aimed at promoting basic education through books books that align with the Congolese education curriculum. Kitambas offers a diverse collection of novels, fables, manga, manuals, and more to enhance access to reading. When it arrives at schools, such as one in the heart of South Kivu's capital, students eagerly read for 2 hours, both inside the bus and in the outdoor areas set up in the school's courtyard.
At this moment, I'm reading a book by the name L'Atelier de Roxane. I feel comfortable and happy to be here and see the books. It will help me write, read well, consult, and love books. The Creative Youth Intervention aims to enhance the potential of young people. We know very well that through reading, young people learn a lot, especially to be autonomous in many ways. We supported this project because we are convinced that young people need to learn a lot and should have this culture of reading, sharing, and exchanging to enable their development. This means that after this activity, our children will be able to use manuals, and this project is here to foster a love of reading in our children as they progress.
In a powerful address from the American Museum of Natural History in New York, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for a tax on profits of fossil fuel companies to help pay for the fight against global warming. Highlighting on the devastating impact of climate change, Guterres pointed to the severe heat wave that hit Asia this year, causing record temperatures, destroying crops, closing schools, and resulting in fatalities. He also mentioned the extreme weather events affecting cities from New Delhi to Bamako to Mexico City, as well as savage storms in the U.S. that have wreaked havoc on communities.
Already this year, a brutal heat wave has baked Asia with record temperatures, shriveling crops, closing schools, and killing people. Cities from New Delhi to Bamako to Mexico City are scorching. Here in the US, savage storms have destroyed communities and lives. We have seen drought disasters declared across southern Africa, and extreme rains flood the Arabian Peninsula, East Africa, and Brazil. Climate change is the mother of all stealth taxes paid by everyday people and vulnerable countries and communities. Meanwhile, the godfathers of climate chaos, the fossil fuel industry, rake in record profits and feast off trillions in taxpayer.
The United Nations Refugee Agency issued a dire warning regarding the safety of migrants traveling through the Sahel region. Conflicts in Sudan and across the Sahel have significantly compromised the protection available to those making their perilous journey from sub-Saharan Africa to Europe. For the hundreds of thousands of refugees and migrants attempting to cross from sub-Saharan African countries to Europe, the journey has become increasingly dangerous, and according to the UNHCR, the lack of critical service along the migration routes has been exacerbating the risks.
Si on peut pas être présent au nord d'Agadez
If we can't be present in the north of Agadez today, the local authorities are present. People who were born there, who were there before this route was used for migration to Libya. Let's work with these authorities. These authorities see the problem. These authorities would like to do something. We continue to talk about rescue at sea. The concept of desert rescue is not very developed. Desert search and rescue, that's something we'd like to develop with these local authorities. Technologically, it is possible.
In a significant move on Tuesday, President Joe Biden announced an executive action aimed at curbing migrants crossing at the southern border with Mexico. Speaking from Washington, D.C., the president underlined the need to secure the border while continuing to welcome immigrants. The new measures will restrict migrants from claiming asylum if they cross the border unlawfully, particularly when the daily crossings exceed 2,500, a threshold deemed as overwhelming by the administration. President Biden also highlighted ongoing negotiations with Mexico as a critical step, stressing on the importance of collaboration rather than confrontation with their southern neighbor.
Joining him in Europe? Is she going to join her husband in Europe? Top notch, no? Hunter! Are you still a crack addict, Hunter? Where did you get all the money, Hunter? Where did you get all the money? Should you register as a foreign agent?
Do keep your comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. And now for sports lovers, it is time for your most anticipated part of the news, the sports news. Let's get sporty. Harambee Stars held their final training session on Thursday ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier match against Burundi on June 7th. Stars head coach Injin Firat is counting on their week-long training camp to register impressive results in the upcoming 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Burundi and Ivory Coast. The men's national team left for Malawi on Sunday, exactly a week before their two crunch ties in the Southern African nation. Kenya will play the Swallows on June 7th before flexing muscles with the F-Fans on June 11th at the Bingu National Stadium in Lilongwe. Only 3 players, skipper Michel Olunga, midfielder Richard Odada, and defender Daniel Anyembe, have yet to show up. Coach Firat assured that the trio would link up with the rest of the squad in Lilongwe, Malawi, despite growing speculations of an alleged fallout between Olunga and the Football Kenya Federation.
Ni mchezo ambao si rahisi. Ukiangalia Burundi walivyocheza mechi zilizopita, walishinda 3-2 wakapoteza 2-1. Kwa hivyo si ati ni timu rahisi, ni timu ambayo wako na wachezaji wazuri pia. Tuna matumaini kwamba kesho tutacheza mchezo mzuri na tutaweza kupata ushindi. Tuna matumaini kwamba kila mchezaji atajitolea na tutapata matokeo mazuri.
Of course, we are trying our best. The atmosphere is okay. We know everything about survival. This is our job to analyze them very well. So we are facing tomorrow a rival which has a very strong transition game. They play very fast in the deep. They have a lot of fast players, dribbling players. So therefore I guess that tomorrow they will use the space they can get if we press them and to try to get with long balls behind our defense. So we are prepared for it. But you need also to be prepared mental for it, and I hope everything will be okay tomorrow. Many players are clear, some 99% not with us. So like you anyway, you know, Masoud, Ayub, Joseph, Marcelo, Eric Johanna, Amos. This situation of Zek and Tobias is a big question. So I can count a lot, but like I said also in Nairobi, we will have 11 Kenyan boys on the field.
Premier League clubs have voted by 19-1 in favor of keeping video assistant referees next season. Wolves triggered a vote on the use of VAR in the 2024-2025 season after formally submitting a resolution to the Premier League in May. In order for the VAR to be scrapped, 14 of the 20 Premier League clubs needed to vote in favor of doing so, but only Wolves voted in favor of the proposal as they failed to gain any support from other flight clubs. The Premier League introduced VAR in 2019. The Premier League has come under increasing pressure to modify VAR, which was introduced to the start of the 2019-2020 season. Wolves listed 9 reasons to support its proposal to ban VAR, including the impact of goal celebrations, hostility towards match officials, and the length of time needed to reach decisions. It was reaffirmed at the meeting that the the semi-automated offsides will be introduced at some point in the autumn, while the Premier League confirmed in-game VAR announcements that will be put in place. Kenya's 10 kilometers road race world record holder Phoenix Kipruto has been banned from for 6 years because of irregularities found in his athlete biological passport. The athlete's integrity unit said on Wednesday a disciplinary tribunal ruled that there were irregularities in Kipruto's ABP, which shows discrepancies that can reveal the effects of doping. The 24-year-old will be stripped of his record, which he set in Valencia in 2020, and the 10 meters bronze medal he won at the 2019 World Championship. He will be banned until May 2029 after being provisionally suspended on the 11th of May 2023 for violating anti-doping rules. An ABP is an electric record which tracks an athlete's biomarkers over their career. If these markers change dramatically, it alerts officials that the athlete might be doping. The disciplinary panel said it was comfortably satisfied the athlete had committed an anti-doping rule violation. The 24-year-old had denied the anti-doping rule violation charge. Kipruto can appeal against the decision to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. A hard-fought 3-wicket win on a challenging pitch gave Uganda their maiden win at the T20 World Cup. They beat Papua New Guinea in a low-scoring game at Guyana, where both teams vied for their first win in the competition. Papua New Guinea battling crammed to 77 at all out after being put to bat before Uganda, themselves troubled at 26 for 5, reached home in the 19th over. Uganda are the second lowest ranked side in the tournament, with only Canada below them, and came through African qualifying where they stand Zimbabwe. Spinner Frank 43 bowled the most economical 4 overs in T20 World Cup history, with his 2 wickets costing only 4 runs. And that sports news brings us to the end of our news segment tonight. Here at GBS News at 9, we make your news our business. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge. Good night.